Hey kids, it's Miss Crystal here, and I'm reading today for Pages to Project for our virtual summer reading program. And today we're going to look at the story Jack and the Beanstalk. And as you can see here, I have a bunch of different versions that are available at our library or other libraries in the county for you to check out. And these are all really different tellings of the same story. But I'm going to read the original story to you on paper, and then we'll do our craft that you can pick up in your creative kits at the front desk at the library. So don't forget to stop by and get your kit. We have quite a few for you to get, and if you want past ones, let us know. We can get you a past one or just this week's one. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Are you ready? Once upon a time there lived a widow woman and her son Jack on their small farm in the country. Every day, Jack would help his mother with the chores, chopping wood, weeding the garden, milking the cow. But despite all their hard work, Jack and his mother were very poor, with barely enough money to help themselves with food. "What shall we do? What shall we do?" said the widow one spring day. "We don't have enough money to buy seed for the farm this year. We must sell our cow, Old Bess, and with that money, buy enough seed to plant a good crop." "All right, Mother," said Jack. "It's market day today. I'll go into town and sell Bessie." So Jack took the cow in his hands, the cow's collar in his hands, and walked through the garden gate and headed off toward town. He hadn't gone far when he met a funny-looking old man who said to him, "Good morning, Jack." "Good morning to you," said Jack, wondering how the little old man knew his name. "Where are you off to this fine morning?" asked the man. "I'm going to market to sell our cow, Bessie." "Well, what a helpful son you are," exclaimed the man. "I have a special deal for such a good boy like you." The little old man looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then opened his hand to show Jack what he held. "Beans?" asked Jack, looking a little confused. 3 magical beans, to be exact. 1, 2, 3. So magical are they. If you plant them overnight, by morning they grow right up to the sky, promised the funny little man. "And because you're such a good boy, they're all yours in trade for your old milking cow." "Really?" said Jack. "Are you quite sure they're magical?" "I am indeed, and if it doesn't turn out to be true, you can have your cow back." Would you do it? Would you trade your cow for just 3 little beans if somebody told you they were magical? "Well, that sounds fair," said Jack as he handed over Bessie, pocketed the beans, and headed back home to show his mother. "My mama would be mad at me." "Back already, Jack?" asked his mother. "I see you haven't got Old Bess. You sold her so quickly. How much did you get for her?" Jack smiled and reached into his pocket. "Just look at these beans, Mother. They're magical beans. Plant them overnight and—" "What?" cried Jack's mother. "Oh, you silly boy. How could you give away our milking cow for 3 measly beans?" And with that, she did the worst thing Jack had ever seen her do. She burst into tears. Jan ran upstairs to his little room in the attic, so sorry he was, and threw the beans angrily out the window, thinking, "How could I have been so foolish? I've broken my mother's heart." After much tossing and turning, at last Jack dropped off to sleep. When Jack woke up the next morning, his room looked strange. The sun was shining into part of it like it normally did, yet the rest of it was quite dark and shadowy. So Jack jumped up and dressed himself and went to the window. And what do you think he saw? Why, the beans he had thrown out the window into the garden had sprung up into a big beanstalk, which went up and up and up until it reached the sky. Using the leaves and twisting vines like a ladder, Jack climbed and climbed until at last he reached the sky. And when he got there, he found a long, broad road winding its way through the clouds to a tall, square castle off in the distance. Jack ran up the road toward the castle, and just as he reached it, the door swung open to reveal a horrible lady giant with one great eye in the middle of her forehead. What is that called, kids? Does anybody know? A cyclops. As soon as Jack saw her, he turned to run away, but she caught him and dragged him into the castle. "Don't be in such a hurry. I'm sure a growing boy like you would like a nice big breakfast," said the giant tall woman. "It's been so long since I've got to make breakfast for a boy." Well, the lady giant wasn't such a bad sort after all. Even if she was a bit odd, she took Jack into the kitchen and gave him a chunk of cheese and a glass of milk. But Jack had only taken a few bites when the whole house began to tremble with noise of someone coming. "Goodness gracious me, it's my husband," said the giant woman, wringing her hands. "What on earth shall I do? There's nothing he likes better than boys broiled on toast, and I haven't any bread left. Oh dear, I never should have let you stay for breakfast. Here, come quick and jump in here." And she hurried Jack into a large copper pot sitting beside the stove just as her husband, the giant, came in. He ducked inside the kitchen and said, "I'm ready for breakfast. I'm so hungry I could eat 3 cows. Ah, what's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his bones to grind my bread." "Nonsense, dear," said his wife. "We haven't had a boy for breakfast in years. Now you go and wash up, and by the time you come back, your breakfast will be ready for you." So the giant went off to tidy up, and Jack was about to make a run for it when the woman stopped him. "Wait until he's asleep," she said. "He always has a little snooze after his breakfast." Jack peeked out of the copper pot just as the giant returned to the kitchen carrying a basket filled with golden eggs and a sickly-looking white hen. The giant poked the hen and growled, lay some eggs!" And the hen laid an egg made of gold, which the giant added to the basket. After his breakfast, the giant went to the closet and pulled out a golden harp with the face of a sad girl. The giant poked the harp and growled, "Play, play!" And the harp began to play a gentle tune with her lovely face, and she sang a lullaby. Then the giant began to nod his head and to snore until the whole house shook. When he was quite sure the giant was asleep, Jack crept out of the copper pot and began to tiptoe out of the house. Just as he was about to leave, he heard the sound of the harp girl weeping. Jack bit his lips, sighed, and returned to the kitchen. He grabbed the sickly hen, and he grabbed the singing harp, and he began to tiptoe back outside. But this time, the hen gave a cackle which woke up the giant. And just as Jack got out of the house, he heard him calling, "Wife, wife, what have you done with my white hen and my golden harp?" Jack ran as fast as he could, and the giant, realizing that he had been tricked, came rushing after. Away from the castle and down the winding road, Away from the castle and down the broad, winding road. When he got to the Beanstalk, the giant was only 20 yards away when suddenly he saw Jack disappear. Confused, the giant peered through the clouds and saw Jack underneath climbing down for his dear life. The giant stomped his foot and roared angrily, "Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his bones to grind my bread." The giant swung himself down onto the beanstalk, which shook with his weight, and Jack slipped and slid and climbed down the beanstalk as quickly as he could. And after him climbed the giant. As he neared the bottom, Jack called out, "Mother, please hurry, bring me an axe, bring me an axe." And his mother came rushing out with Jack's wood chopping axe in her hand. But when she came to the enormous beanstalk, she stood shocked with fright. Jack jumped down, got hold of the axe, and began to chop away at the beanstalk. Luckily, because all the chores he'd done over the years, he'd become quite good at chopping, and it didn't take him long to chop through enough of the beanstalk that it began to teeter. And the giant felt the beanstalk shake and quiver, so he stopped to see what was the matter. Then Jack gave one last big chop of the axe, and the beanstalk began to topple over. Then the giant fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came toppling after. The singing harp thanked Jack for rescuing her from the giant. She had hated being locked up in the castle all day and night, and wanted nothing more than to sit in the farmhouse window and sing to the birds and the butterflies in the sunshine. With a bit of patience and his mother's help, it didn't take long for Jack to get the sickly hen back in good health, and the grateful hen continued to lay fresh, golden eggs every day. Jack used the money from selling the golden eggs to buy old Bess back. He purchased seeds for the spring crop and to fix up his mother's farm. He even had enough left over to invite every one of his neighbors over for a nice meal, complete with music from the singing harp. And so Jack, his mother, old Bess, the golden harp, and the white hen lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story of Jack and the Beanstalk. That's a classic. Remember, you can check out any of these versions at the libraries in Polk County. And stay tuned for our craft. And remember to come to the library and pick up your creative kit. It's at the front desk. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so this is your creative kit that you can pick up at the front desk. It includes beans, a cup, some soil, some cotton balls, and a little castle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some soil into the cup first. Use a spoon, or if you have a little shovel at home, whatever you have, and put your beans in there. And I gave you quite a few, so we'll see how this works when it starts to grow. Put some more soil in there, and then I added just a little bit of water and added the rest of my soil. I see I left a bean on the table. I better grab that joker. There it is. Okay. All right. So I set that aside, and then you can cut out your castle, and you want to leave a little strip at the bottom so you can glue on your clouds, and you can use your cotton balls as your cloud. Okay, so remember to leave that little white strip at the bottom. Just use some glue, and it's only going to take about one cotton ball to make some clouds. And then you can tape your castle on there, on your little dowel that you have, your wooden dowel. And what the point of that dowel is, we want your bean to vine up it. And that's it.